I'm Nolan Green from Army Rugby, and you're watching Rugby Wrap-Up.
Next on the College Rugby Wrap-Up, making sense of the Mafia meets the Cartel's American rugby landscape, plus all women's and men's action, coach interviews, and player cameos. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. Box for Grow, the future of cannabis farming. We box you in to increase your yield and profit. The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hey everybody, and welcome back to this week's College Rugby Wrap-Up with your favorite pundits, Zach Lanning, Josh Ressio, and Colby Marshall. I'm Matt McCarthy. All right, gents, before we get to your stellar contributions, NYRA/NCAA Women's Rugby, D1A Rugby, and NCR Action, we have to take care of some difficult business. After fielding many a question from confused, distraught, and sobbing, often inconsolably sobbing souls, we will attempt to lend some clarity to what looks to be a fragmented, disjointed, dysfunctional, and downright kooky college rugby landscape here in America. Working as forensic rugby detectives, as per our training from David Barry, who was formerly with the forensics firm BlackRock and now is running in circles with some splinter group called the Ramblin' Jesters, we know definitively one thing. It's a fucking mess. Indeed, it's an alphabet soup of acronyms, some using the same letters, some sounding too similar to differentiate. You can see it on your screen. The ACR, American College Rugby, ACRA, American College Rugby Association, CRAA, Collegiate Rugby Association of America, NYRA, National Intercollegiate Rugby Association, aka NCAA for women's rugby, and the non-affiliates under USA Rugby with no acronym. But let's not get stuck behind our own 22 because of a couple of ABCs. Let's go right to our Rugby Forensics Bulletin Board. And when you look at it, think mafia, think drug cartel, think families within those kinds of organizations. The biggest of the families is the newly formed NCR, National Collegiate Rugby, which used to be the NSCRO, National Small College Rugby Organization, that splintered from USA Rugby after the second bankruptcy and losing about $120,000 to USA Rugby's malfeasance. It's also the only one that is no longer sanctioned by USA Rugby because they've refused to pay USA Rugby any more money until certain things are hashed out. But in the meantime, NCR has grown to be the biggest, as I said earlier. Then you've got D1A, who is the existing big shot organization under CRAA, the Collegiate Rugby Association of America. Mind you, if these two entities could come together, then the rest would follow. That's my guess. And the families are separated, at least the two biggest families are separated by money, which you might guess, and seasonality of the 15s and 7s seasons, respectively. National Collegiate Rugby, NCR, has figured out insurance and all that other stuff on their own. And they seem to be getting a better bang for their buck. Their members seem to be getting a better bang for their buck. Whereas D1A is still under the USA Rugby umbrella, as are all those other entities. But the teams are already paid into USA Rugby, so they don't want to merge and say, well, we're paying so much more than these guys. Further complicating things is what happened at USA Rugby following their bankruptcy filing, when they basically decentralized the entire entity, meaning they got rid of the USA Rugby Congress and they came up with councils. And we have a collegiate council that is basically made up of people that represent their interests, but not necessarily represent the interest of the collegiate rugby player at large. And by that, I mean NCR, National Collegiate Rugby, who has most of the teams, or a larger stake of teams than any of the other entities, is not represented in this council because they are not sanctioned by USA Rugby. And I understand that. But any decisions made by that council will impact all college rugby players. You know, we can go on for days like this, but I have reached out to the big shots from both entities. I've heard back from one entity. I haven't heard back from the other. So while we wait to hear, we're going to leave it at that and get back to our college rugby show. We can exhale now, guys, and get back to what's at hand with your stuff and what you've been covering. So, Zach, why don't we flip the apple cart this week and start with the ladies first and go with the NIRA, the National Intercollegiate Rugby Association / NCAA women's rugby.
Right, an emerging NCAA sport, as you just mentioned, Matt, waiting for 40 teams to join. They have 27 currently that are varsity sports around the country, waiting to hit that 40 number. I don't know how I follow up that confusing mess with something here, but I'll try my best, guys. So we'll start with the NIRA playoffs, as you mentioned, and a pretty predictable result. Dartmouth, the Big Green, rolling over Brown 56-5 in their semifinal matchup, punching their ticket to the NIRA championship. 10 tries scored by Dartmouth in that match, Matt, by 5 different players. Fifth-year senior Lily Durbin had 4 of those tries. She had herself a day. Her and Emily Henrich on that back line have combined to just terrorize the entire NIRA conference this year so far. But a little bit of an upset then in the other match, Matt. That other semifinal match is where we saw really the shakeup here. Harvard expected all year. They were first in NIRA for most of the season to be facing Dartmouth in this NIRA championship. But they fell to Army this weekend. Wow. Army, I don't want to say that I called it last week, Matt, but I did mention this Army side getting hot at the right time, beating Penn State a week ago. They lost to Harvard earlier in the season, but they were able to flip the script. Freshman Sophia Linder had was a huge part of that, recording a hat trick from her center spot in this match. So it will be Dartmouth versus Army at West Point next week, guys, and that should be a heck of a matchup. I'm looking forward to that. Dartmouth just a machine all season, but Army has been sneaky good these last couple of weeks, and do they have it in them to pull off one more upset?
All right, that's good. What about NCR?
Yeah, they're in the thick of the playoff hunt as well, Matt. You had plenty of teams. We previewed the matchups last week. At the top, you had chalk. So number 1 seed, University of Northern Iowa, absolutely obliterated North Dakota, 120-5. Which kudos to North Dakota for scoring that one try. That was expected. Number 2 seed Grand Valley State also won their matchup over Purdue handily, 72-2. But after that, things started to get a little dicey, guys. So number 3, Marquette lost a really close match, 29-26 to number 10 Iowa State. And number 15 Clemson with the huge upset over number 4 Cincinnati, 71-22. So a little bit of a wonky finish there on that part of the thing. You also saw number 11 Wisconsin Eau Claire upset number 8 Bowling Green 52-26, and you had number 9 Colgate upsetting number 7 Kent State 39-5. The other matchup to watch in this, we had mentioned last week, number 5 Life. In the 5th seed here, they're not used to that. They took care of business against number 12 Syracuse 57-0. And what you're seeing from this Life side, guys, is a bit of a younger developmental side. So this isn't the D1 elite side that you will see in the spring and that will play against the likes of Lindenwood and Penn State and CWU. This is freshmen, sophomores, a couple upperclassmen, and 1 D1A player per match playing these games. So head coach Rosalind Chow is looking to kind of get some younger players some playing time. So, they're still probably favored in this tournament, but it's not going to be the cakewalk that you'd expect from this Life side.
Yeah, about Rosalind Chow, she got a little bit of hot water, apparently. My intel tells me that she was on the college council until they found out that she had entered the developmental side into NCR because Life is in D1A. So that's just a little bit more of the stuff that we don't need going on there. We got a cliffhanger before we take our break. You predicted something accurately, and one of these other 2 gentlemen predicted something accurately. We'll get to that right after this.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
I'm Arne Spangenberg. I'm from Lindenwood Rugby, and welcome to Rugby Wrap Up.
All right, guys, and we're back. And just before we get to our stuff, we've got another pop-up quiz brought to you by Sheehy Auto Works. And I want you each to tell me, after hearing what I said at the top of the show, how many different entities with the acronym Alphabet Soup do we have in college rugby? Is it 1? Is it 4? Is it 7? Is it 5? Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. Josh.
7.
Zach.
Gotta be 3.
Ooh. Colby, down to you, baby.
Definitely 5, Matt.
5 it is. And you are today's winner of the Sheehy Auto Stores Rugby Wrap-Up, College Rugby Wrap-Up Pop-Up Quiz. That's an acronym for college rugby right there. Okay, with that, let's get to you, Josh. What do you got for us in D1A?
Well, you had mentioned predictions, and I was right there getting it right. Indiana will not be the Big Ten champion this year, as Ohio State was able to come back late and get the win, and they're going to be taking that trophy back to Columbus. First time in 10 years, Matt, that they've been able to take that trophy home. Time that I think Tom Rooney is finally feeling that weight off his shoulder. I've been told that he was doing backflips after the game, so you can only imagine how happy they are over in Columbus. It was a great game. It was really close. Indiana was resting guys near the end of the season, and I think, it may have came back to hurt them, because Ohio State, they came to that game strong, and they really wanted to pull off that win, and saw it throughout, 33-29 at the end. Ohio State, your champion.
You got to salute Tom Rooney. He's been at this for so long. Congratulations, my friend. What else you got for us?
Third place game, Michigan State was able to pull it out. I want to bring this up, Matt. Earlier in the week, D1A was able to put out their rankings in which Illinois, the team that Michigan State played in this third place match, flipped with Michigan State. Michigan State took off the rankings, and Illinois brought into the top 25. Michigan State didn't really like that. Nice. They were able to pull off the win 21-5. And your Buffalo man, Kevin Roach, another solid game. He's really finishing off his season strong. Michigan State finishes the season 5-0. And, you can only hope that the rankings are going to come out correct next week.
Well, we could talk for 4 episodes on the rankings in college rugby because of all the different factions, all the different families, if you will. But we're not getting anywhere with that right now. But, yeah, you're right. Great stuff. What else? Anything?
Yeah, so Bowling Green was able to take home the MAC championship, 48-15. That's the 4th time I think they've been able to win it since 2014. Life was able to squeak out a very, very narrow victory over Davenport. Davenport was able to hold Life scoreless for the whole second half. And, I think Davenport's walking away from that game very happy. And, Matt, you were over at the Army and Lindenwood game. Army was able to pull off a great win, 26-17.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable atmosphere up at West Point in Anderson Rugby Sports Complex, or whatever the name. I think it's the Anderson Sports Complex, but it's a dedicated rugby facility. They have a spectacular grass pitch with a great field turf pitch that you can train on as well. They've got everything you need, the stands, but it was also a celebration of Veterans Day, so it was extra special. They did a great tribute at the head of the game, and then the game itself was just as physical as you'd expect from these 2 teams. Lindenwood had an opportunity early on. They missed the opening penalty kick, kind of set the tone. It was a dead-on kick, but it was a slick field. It had been raining in the area all week and all day rather. But it was a beautiful night for rugby, actually. But the grass field held the moisture. So guys were sliding. They didn't have confidence in their traction. Some of the guys were missing kicks when the ball was put up in the air. But it was basically a forwards game. and it came down to Army just smashing and having a great match. We caught up with both coaches after the match, Matt Sherman of Army and Josh Macy of Lindenwood. It was the first time Army beat Lindenwood, by the way, guys. So here are those interviews.
Congratulations, big win there. Is that the first time you beat Lindenwood?
It is, yeah.
So it's a big deal.
It's a big win for us, yeah.
What does it mean for you guys short term and then long term?
Short term, I think it's just a good validation for the guys for how hard they've been working and improving. And long term, there'll be lots we can learn from this game, even in the win that we can get better at and, that we need to get better at. And so, as much as we'll be excited about the win and feel good about that, we're going to get back to work. We hibernate here for the winter a little bit, but we're going to get healthy and get stronger, and we're going to come back in the spring an improved team.
You had some injuries, but you also showed some depth there.
We did, yeah. We had a couple. We had a guy go down early, unfortunately, with a head wound, head knock, and hopefully he's all right. But we've had a deep team. It's been part of what we've been doing all year. We've tested our depth on the field, and it's part of the game, right? You got to have guys step up. So we're really happy with the depth of the team. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, and a great day to get a win here at West Point.
Yeah, it was a good environment. Yeah, I appreciate all the people that came out. It was awesome. Yeah.
They did a great job controlling territory. They're just a very, very organized team. And then even operationally, they were great with, running balls onto the field, new balls for their guys. And man, I thought they did a great job tonight, and we struggled to adjust. And that's what happens when you play good teams.
And you're two of the higher ranked teams in the nation right now. How does this set up a potential rematch?
Oh, that's up to the playoff committee, and, I don't have much to do with that, but Army's had a great semester, and this caps it off, and we're just kind of getting ramped up, and we play for May. That's when they hand out the trophies.
And how much of a gauge do you think this is in terms of a national championship matchup?
Oh, I think it's pretty good. We're blooding some young players, and we're excited to move forward with the rest of the season. And I would love to play them again. They're great rivals and great opponents.
I think as you started to play them in the second half a little tighter, you boys got a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, I would say that. The thing is, what gives you confidence, right? It's ascendancy at the set piece. It's maybe building phases, and we just struggled to do that today. Lots of slick balls out here, and maybe an offload doesn't come off or a line break doesn't get finished, and that's the difference when you play good teams.
Now Lindenwood's got Davenport ahead of them, so it doesn't get it easier for those guys. And Army is just firing on all cylinders right now. Check out Army coming out of the tunnel. I was able to stand there as they were prepping to come out of the tunnel. This was pretty cool.
Stay together, boys!
And just one other thing, Rugby New York coach Marty Veal, the head coach of the MLR team, was up there scouting, and I got this little moment with Marty having a good time. All right, that's it. We're out of time. Thank you for just kidding, Colby. I know that you think that you're in the doghouse because you're not wearing sleeves, but that's not true. We've just saved the best for last. What do you have for us, Colby?
I appreciate those kind words, Matt. I'm really excited about what I have for you guys. The NCR playoffs are set. The quarterfinal stages are written up at the top side of the bracket. As you see on the left-hand side, we have the 7th seed, the young team, Mary Washington, taking on the experienced 1 seed, St. Bonaventure. Mary Washington are led by 5 freshmen that lead the team in tries. So they're going to need all those guys to perform if they want to pull off the upset against a Bonnie's team that is starting to look like a team on the cusp of becoming a national powerhouse in college rugby.
Wow. Did you say that freshmen are leading the team in tries?
5 freshmen.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome. What else you got for us?
Additionally, Kutztown are going to visit Iona at Mazzella Field in the 4-5 matchup. Iona, shockingly, has never beaten Kutztown in 15s. They've had their number in 7s in the CRCs in the past couple of years, but are still looking for that first victory in 15s. They'll have the chance to do that on Sunday. Kutztown are a team that defeated Mount St. Mary's 34-12 to get to this point. Iona are the reigning Liberty Conference champions after defeating Northeastern. Talented players on both sides. When you think of the likes of Aaron Gray for Kutztown and Cam DeGiorgio for Iona, it should really be a barn burner at Mazzella Field on Sunday.
Tell us about Coach Dave and those Brown Bears.
Yeah, Dave's Bears got a tough matchup against Penn State, the number 2 Lions. You know, Brown are a team that shocked a lot of people when they defeated Dartmouth in the Ivy League Championship. And they're going to look for the upset against Penn State, but Penn State are a team that might be the most battle-tested team of this bunch, of the Final 8. You know, when you think of everybody they've played, Kutztown, Ohio State, Army, Navy, and Mary Washington as well. So Penn State are a team that can easily get to the final in this competition. Brown, they have a lot to do if they want to knock off Penn State.
Okay. And anything else you got for us?
Yeah, lastly, Northeastern are going to play against Queens. Northeastern had that close game against Iona, had them shut out midway through the second half and really looked like they were going to win the Liberty Conference Championship, but Iona proceeded to score 19 unanswered to win, as we all know. But they will look to bounce back in this game against Queens. Very winnable game for them. They're going to be led by Ryan Keneally, who's a really great back player for them. So Queens are led by Hilton Oliver, who actually led the Chesapeake Conference in total points with 6 tries, 3 penalty goals, and 36 conversions. Matt, can you do the math? How many total points is that?
So that's 72. That's 15. And how many conversions? How many penalty goals?
3.
9. So there's your answer. 72, 9, and 15. So anyway, on that note, I want to thank Mr. Colby Marshall, Mr. Zach Lanning, and Mr. Josh Ressio. I'm Matt McCarthy for these gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to check out our other segments, including our exclusive with the man they call the Beast, plus our lively chat with rugby legends Dick Spring and George Hook, and look out for our upcoming United Rugby Championship shows. And please sign up for our Rugby Wrap-Up Red Cross Blood Donor Team.